This isn't a Mary Poppins simulator. That's not a good place to hide. Don't fight inside the storm. This is Battle Royale, where a deadly storm is seconds behind you. Airdrops come with some legendary loot, and you can run, but boy, you can't hide. How not to be a noob in Fortnite Battle Royale.
People up 30.
Fortnite Battle Royale is a 100-player free-for-all deathmatch made by Epic Games that can be played as a solo, duo, or with a 4-man team. Players must fight against an ever-encroaching deadly storm that forces everyone into a randomized playfield. The playfield grows smaller and smaller every few moments, forcing players to fight to the death to a last man standing, anything goes free-for-all. Only one team or player will be crowned Victor Royale. So let's look at the basics of each match, looting and weapon types. We will also talk about the best loot locations, different strategies to get your first win, and pro tips. Basics. Each match starts with the 100 players in solos, duos, or squads. Before dropping into the map, the plane that drops you will randomly travel across the map in a different line of approach each new match. This is a great time to plan your approach to whichever loot location you plan on hitting. Most high concentrations of loot is on positions marked such as Pleasant Park or Retail Row. However, there is also a lot of loot spread out in smaller concentrated areas like Loot Lake and Anarchy Acres. Once you know where you want to go, it's important to pay attention to the plane's path. Most players jump directly under the plane with a lower concentration of players the farther you are away from the line of approach. This is also important when the storm is closing in. You want to know where the majority of players will be coming from. As soon as you land, you will have a limited time to find loot and move to the next area because of the storm circle. The storm circle, like the plane's path, will randomly select an area of the map to be considered playable for the next allotted time period. During this period, you have a limited time to loot and get into the play zone. As the match progresses, the storm shrinks faster and smaller. Don't worry though, it will notify you of where it is moving on the map and how much time you have to get there. Pay attention to this. You do not want to get caught outside the storm because it will damage your health only a little bit at first, but then a lot more as the match progresses. So, you landed your glider and you're ready to fight, but where's all the loot at? Looting. Each location you land has a predetermined amount of loot chests that spawn randomly. These, like the randomized airplane line of approach, will be different on a match-by-match basis. The chests spawn in the same spot every round, but only have a chance to spawn, not a guarantee. If you hear this sound, that means a loot chest is nearby. You want to target these areas when you land since the loot chests have a guaranteed weapon inside. Also, more often than not, you will find a blue shield or meds. The blue shield adds an additional 50% health to your bar with a maximum of 2 consumed. So you can add up to 100% extra health if you find 2 shields. Also, look for the green ammo boxes. They're often hidden and hard to spot, but worth the effort. These are crucial for building your ammo stockpile to sustain yourself in a gun battle with other players. So, landing and looting a weapon is your top priority, but once you find a weapon, how can you tell if it's good? Weapon types. Weapon types in the current version of Battle Royale go as follow. Common is gray, uncommon is green, rare is blue, epic is purple, legendary is orange. You will know what weapon type you have based on its color. Here is the difference between a common M16 and a legendary SCAR, both the same weapon class of assault rifle. As you can see, the SCAR reloads faster, is more accurate, and hits harder. So that's it. Now you got the basics. Let's talk about where to get the best loot. Best loot locations. Since there is literally hundreds of potential loot chest locations on the map, I'm only going to cover the 2 most common areas and provide an image of where all the chests are. There's a link in the description to a more detailed description of all areas. Pleasant Park. Pleasant Park has roughly 25 potential loot chests that spawn. In addition to this, the park itself has a very small arena feel. It is also secluded from other points of interest. This is great for early game fights because you will be able to fight your opponent in a head-to-head fight without fear of being interrupted from outside the arena. Retail Row. Retail Row is another high loot chest potential area with roughly 20 potential spawns. Although the high loot makes it very enticing, be warned, this is smack in the thick of it with points of interest and satellite loot locations all around. This place is a hot zone for early game PvP, but if you can pull off a win and escape, you're going to come out with some great gear. Now keep in mind, these are the two most common places to land for a quick and easy amount of loot. There's loot literally everywhere on the map, so land what fits your strategy, which brings us to strategy. Game-winning strategy. Now there's a lot of different strategies to getting your first victory royale, but I'm only going to talk about two, the Lurking Lion and the Rhino Rampage. The Lurking Lion is a strategy that is extremely passive, but don't be fooled by its name. It is still a game-winning strategy. From early, mid, and late game, you're going to want to play very thoughtfully. You're going to want to land in an area that is extremely far from the plane to minimize getting into early game fights with players. Utilize this freedom to loot and farm materials in the early game stage, knowing you're alone in the area and free to do so. You're also going to want to push late with the storm, making it into the zone in the nick of time. Avoiding fights at all costs and saving your ammo, resources, and energy for late game only. Hiding in buildings, bushes, and other forms of cover versus building a base will be helpful as well. Instead of building for safety, bushes are your best friend. Utilizing the map to your advantage on pushes, staying hidden and low will help keep the attention off of you and on other players. Using this element of slow, methodical pushes into the circle and well-planned kill steals will help carry you to the top 10. If you played your cards right, you should be fresh with full ammo and health while everyone else is struggling to survive the final few circles. Stay hidden and safe for as long as possible and only try to kill the last enemy to get the win. The Rhino Rampage. Unlike the Lion, the Rhino steams full charge. You are going to want to land in high loot areas like Park or Retail Row. You're going to want to go full speed against players. Utilizing the game's mechanics of building to assault houses, make cover, and go for the vertical flank is key. For this strategy, you will only loot early game and hunt the rest of the match. Games like this tend to snowball on loot. The more players you kill, the more rare loot you acquire, thus putting you in a great position for a win. Also, as the circle progresses, you are going to want to get ahead of it and start running the circumference to hunt other players coming in late and weak. This is a double-edged sword because if you spend too much time in an engagement, you can often find yourself on the short end of the storm's proverbial stick. This strategy is about speed, momentum, and violence. Shout out to the doc. Endgame for this strategy can be rushing every base with all the rockets and grenades you acquired, or building Fort Knox with a killer defense arsenal. The choice is yours. Both strategies can be mixed and matched to fit the player's needs, but do whatever works for you to get that W. Pro tips. The vertical flank. The vertical flank is a maneuver you can pull by building stairs up above your opponent in a firefight. This maneuver, when mastered, will outplay most novice players at the game by getting above them unexpectedly, creating a new undefendable angle with this meta. The Big Bad Wolf. Unlike PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, all cover in Fortnite is destructible. Trees, cars, rocks, fences, house, bases, everything. There's nowhere to hide. Whether with rockets or gunfire, shoot at something long enough and it will break. This is also useful for endgame when you can't find your opponent anywhere obvious and need to clear some trees for line of sight. And remember, if you see some enemies trying to hide in a little house made of twig or brick, just remember the words of the Big Bad Wolf. Little pig, let me in! Preparation is key. Before even coming close to the final circle, make sure you have a stockpile of metal and stone resources to build a base at the end. Not only are throwing walls down for cover good, but using them to build up to enemy bases, fortifying existing structures, and removing the randomness of circle endings. If you aren't good at map navigation and find yourself in a valley or have a bad approach to the final circle because of RNG, think outside the box and build yourself in, over, or around where you need to be. And that's it. If you learned something new in the video, consider dropping a like. And if you want to see more Battle Royale, subscribe for free. And the rest you will discover for yourself or die trying. God bless and Godspeed.